Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is John, and I'm the founder of an indie game development company called Odysee Games. Today, we're going to talk about the top 10 paid assets that you need as a game developer. Now, these assets are intended to make your game development process a little more easier and more efficient. These are going to be the things that you start importing as soon as you start a new project. With that said, let's get right into it. So the first asset I really want to take a look at is the FPS Builder. This is a huge asset coming in at 3.7 gigs, and once you actually import it into Unity, it's closer to about 10 gigabytes of data. So what this is a high quality game template that you can use as a way to start your first person shooter game. It provides a first-person controller, weapons, environments, and different minor details that are extremely beneficial when you're making your game. As you can see, the quality is just amazing, especially for what you get. This is a $50 asset. You have all your different weapons, optics, attachments. So it's a good way to be able to allow your players to customize their weapons, their gloves, and all types of things. And they include an incredible documentation for you to make this game template work for your needs. So let's take a look at the game. So this is the demo scene that it comes with. It comes with some decent animations. Good looking weapons. You have to look down scope, fancy reloads, run, slide. There is a melee feature. There is a shooting range in this particular scene. But with this, it also gives you the shot of adrenaline similar to Call of Duty, where it boosts your health if you're running low. I like that. It comes with good optics. It gives you that magnification feel. Some overall, it's just a good asset that gives you so much for you to start making a game right away. Right, this is just a few of the sample assets that you get. You get bridges, construction building, trees, grass, guns, pavement, stairs. You can see the different guns that it comes with. Reload animations. You swap your guns for a sniper. Let's see if we can look at some of this. Here you have the first-person controller script. We're able to control the different elements of So here we can take a look at the first-person controller script. It just provides a ton of fine details that you're able to control, such as whether or not you're able to jump over walls, what your stamina limit is, your volume for footsteps. Do you want it to be lower when you're crouching and louder when you're running? You're able to control the run speed, the jump height, if you get damage from falling, the height of the character, the size of the character. Here you're able to take a look at the health controller. It'll show you the different parts and sounds that your character has and what kind of damage it can take. And while you're running it, you can simulate the different traumas and injuries that your character will have. What happens when you get hit or fall. Overall, it's just a very impressive. Overall, it's just an extremely impressive game asset, especially for only $50. I mean, I'm not a fan of flipping assets, but that's exactly what you can do with this. I mean, it wouldn't be too hard to throw in some sort of networking to create a multiplayer game just out of this. Alright, so this asset here is the Invector third-person controller shooter template. It includes a shooter template, a melee combat template, and your basic locomotion to set up your third-person character. So with this template, you get your locomotion, your advanced camera controller, character creator window, footstep system, ragdoll system, inventory system, melee combat scripts and animations, simple melee AI enemy, simple melee AI companion, example scenes, melee weapon system, a shooter weapon system, an advanced scope view, projectile bullets with trail renderer, and decals based on tags to show your bullet holes. So as you can see, you get some grenades, there's visual effects such as blood and sound. They provide you with a few props right off the bat. So you have swords, shields, guns. They all provide your animations for shooting and reloading, particle systems, and aiming system. You get a inverse kinematics system, so you're able to control where the weapon is and how it holds in the character's hand, as well as being able to hide the weapon on a belt or on your back. So let's take a look at the actual demo scenes. So this is the first example scene for the Invector shooter with the. So this is the first demo scene with Invector for the shooter and melee combination. As you can see, they have different things that you can do. You can pick up grenades, throw grenades, open up chests. So you have the animation of a box opening. You get health potions, damaging gas, able to pick up different weapons. Get different sound effects, reloading, boxes. You're able to fight AI enemy, crouch, climb ladders, take fall damage, bow and arrow, different button aspects you can use. You have to hold the button for it to work. And then a look at the inventory system. You have your immediate belt as well as your weapons, shields, and miscellaneous. And then able to break it down as well here for the different weapons you have: katanas, swords, axes, health potions, cards to open up doors. You have your AR, a bunch of ammo, bow and arrow. Overall, it's a very well put together asset. So the Invector third-person controller also offers a finite state machine AI template, which it should be included because it is just an awesome asset that you need, especially if you're going to have some sort of AI in your game. It offers a ragdoll system, waypoints for your characters to go through. They're able to shoot and use melee weapons. So again, it is a FSM AI template, but it also has visual scripting. So it's super easy to control your AI. You're able to implement this AI in your first-person shooters, your third-person shooters, or if you're making a VR game, this is an awesome AI asset to use. And now if we look at the actual example for the AI, you can see all the different things that AI does, such as fight back or run away. You can set up AI versus AI, so you can have AI on your team to fight other AIs. Or you can just let them fight you. So they can attack you and block. Able to investigate noises. Headshots take more damage than body shots. Now this isn't intended to be a first-person controller, but as you can see, it works. Let's see if he shoots me. Yep. And you shoot him in the head. There's also a boss AI. Has a minigun. So this just gives an example of most of the things that AI can do for your game. I highly recommend this AI template. So this is the Rewired asset. It allows for you to easily integrate different input controllers into a single game. So as you can see in the video, you're able to use a PlayStation controller, an Xbox controller, have a joystick set up if you want, a steering wheel, yoke, you name it. And you can have all these different controllers work on the same game. It allows for the player to easily remap their keys if you give them that option. As I was saying, it supports multiple controllers, right? But also includes flight sticks, yokes, pedals, HOTAS controllers, racing wheels, light guns, helicopter, ship, railroad, and farming controllers, remotes, a 3D rudder, and a bunch more. So if you want to have a game that can easily port to different consoles or PC, you're gonna need this asset. It will make your life so much easier. So the next asset is the Sensor Toolkit, and this is a collection of 2D and 3D sensor components that can be placed on your game objects and integrated with your scripts or even Playmaker. And what this does is it allows your game to have some sort of sensing functionality by using raycast or trigger colliders. So when you're making a game, you can make it so you have a security camera that can see and alert nearby AI to come find you. So this is one of the examples it comes with. It's similar to a stealth game where you have to navigate around your camera's field of view and these enemies' field of view. So as you can see, they saw you, the camera turned red, they're shooting at you. Now you have to sneak in, grab this green container, and get out. But as you can see, these doors open when you're within a certain distance. AI is going to your last place that you're seen, and they're able to shoot and engage you. So it has an alarm controller, your ray sensor for the length of the rays. What do you want it to ignore? What do you want to do when it detects something, or if it loses the detection? Same thing with your steering. It gives you an ignore list, how you want to avoid things. Again, with the field of view collider, which is useful in terms of setting up security cameras. You can control the angle of the field of view, the length, the width. If you want to build a stealth game or you want to integrate security cameras, this is a great asset to use. So the next asset is the Easy Mobile Pro. This is just a suite of assets to make developing mobile games that much easier. It allows you to integrate advertising, leaderboards and achievements, in-app purchases, setting up push notifications, creating GIFs, and sharing images and text and URLs, as well as being able to use the native UI elements. So it allows you to use an inspector to easily drag and drop and click drop-down menus to select the specifications that you're looking for, such as the ads you want to use for iOS and the ads you want to use for Android. What kind of leaderboard do you want to set up? And probably one of the coolest parts of this is it has an integrated rating dialog. This allows you to put in your Apple IDs and email and make it easier for your player to leave a review for your game, which will most definitely help you get more downloads later on. So when we look at what it allows you to advertise with, you can see it works with Ad Colony, Ad Mob, Chart Boost, Facebook Audience Network, MoPub, Tapjoy, and Unity ads. And it makes it so you can use this tool for both Apple and Android. So now we're inside the Easy Mobile Pro demo scene, and it just goes over some of the things that you can do with it, such as generating GIFs, playing GIFs, where do you want them saved, how do you want them saved, the different utilities such as creating a ratings and reviews, privacy policies, be able to share your scores and screenshots. So overall, if you're going to make a mobile game, you absolutely need this asset. It will make your life that much easier. So this next asset is called Mesh Combined Studio 2, and they also have an extension for it called Caves and Overhangs. And what this does is allow you to reach performance levels you just can't get using the Unity tools such as batching and converting textures down to one file. So what this is an automatic grid cell based mesh combiner. It takes all these different meshes, converts them into a grid, and allows everything to be combined into a single larger meshes, calling for less draw calls. So you can see it says it gives up to 20 times better performance compared to Unity static batching. You're able to combine dynamic objects where parts will keep moving and it doesn't have to be just static objects like Unity static batching. So not only is this great for combining meshes, it also helps with the culling performance because it combines the meshes into the different grid cells. So as we look at the features, it says should be used as a faster alternative to Unity static batching, can give significant to drastic performance improvements, reduces draw cells, but also uses grid cell based mesh combining, which is optimal for culling, Z sorting, layer of detail switching, automatically combines layer of detail group meshes, remove geometry that is under the surface, so things that won't be typically seen by a camera. And this can reduce the amount of triangles by 35%, if not more. These are all great in theory, but let's take a look at the actual demo to see what it does, right? So this is the demo scene, and if we look over to the Mesh Combined Studio, we'll see the actual script. It has your documentation and Discord support. You know, what's his name? Nathaniel Doldersum, I believe is his name, right? I think that's what it said on the other page. But he's always in the Discord and he's always helping people. But if looking at the script, we can go through it real quick, look at what it does and give an example. So first you can see, you you have your terrain here and a bunch of supposed to be overlapped rocks. So to get a good idea, we need to go to overdraw. So as we can see, all the bright white stuff is the rocks that are being overdrawn, things that don't necessarily need to be there. Come into the script, you're able to set up the search conditions for things that you want to be able to combine. Now you can search for anything that's static or active, use a search box for particular things, use layer mask, search by tags and names, and then you can set the conditions for combining. You can change your light probes, change the way it receives the global illumination, what layer it's gonna be on, things like that. So we can look at the output settings, and if you hover over each thing, it usually gives a little tooltip, right? So static objects, and after it's done running, you can have it set so anything that's hidden under the surface has no colliders or no triangles. Weld the vertices together that share the same points. Remove backface triangles. So as you can see, if the camera is in a limited position, such as like a 2D perspective, the back faces to all the objects can be removed. And as it shows here, it can save up to roughly 50% of the vertices and triangles. So when we come down here, you do the search, and it'll show you that there's 927 objects that have been found. So when we go to the game, we run it, because this can either be run right at the start of runtime, or you can do it before. It all depends on how you want it to be done. So as we start it, nothing's enabled yet, because come over here, you can press a tab to enable it. So you can see everything's still overdrawn. There's a lot of overlap. There's 927 objects. And then we go to the game, turn on the mesh combiner. You see it starts to redraw everything. So you come down here, you see what it originally started at and after the combiner has worked. So originally it had 700 normal channels within the meshes, and it reduced it down to 70. It reduced all the UVs down. But the great thing is the batches, right? So it found 704 batches, combined them down into 70, which saved 90%. It went from 400,000 vertices down to 135,000 vertices. 1.3 million triangles down to 391,000 triangles. So you saved 90% in the batches, 66% in the vertices, and 70% in the triangles. So you can see how it is able to improve everything. So when you go back to the scene and look at the overdraw, you can see how much lighter everything is. There's less batches being drawn, there's less overlap. It's just really great in terms of performance. And again, we can turn it off and you can see it again, right? All the bright white from the overlap. And now it's gone. Super great asset if you're concerned with performance, and especially as you start making the larger levels, you're gonna need something like this. And now the next asset is called UModeler. It's currently on sale, and it's just a great tool to do some 3D modeling and quick prototyping within your games. So if we go through, you're able to see some of the things that people are capable of building. Right? You're able to go from a low polygon asset, or you can make something that is high poly and looks phenomenal. It all depends on what you're going for. You know, it allows you to make everything from stairs to houses to cities and roads and cars, whatever it is that you need to make. So yeah, if you look down, it says, what can you do with UModeler? You can do 3D modeling from a low poly mesh to a rather complicated mesh. You're able to do prototyping, modifying a mesh, which is fantastic, 2D drawing, UV mapping. It's a good tool to have, especially for being half off, because there are going to be times where you're making a game, you have your assets in there, and something's not going to be quite the way you need it to be. So you need to be able to quickly move it, or when you're starting out and you start prototyping out your game and you have your basic shapes, you're able to know what information to pass on to your artist in terms of creating the physical 3D assets. So they include some really good documentation. So they not only give you the tools, but they teach you how to use them in an efficient manner to create what you need, all within Unity. So you don't have to make something in Blender and deal with trying to export it out of Blender and import it into the Unity engine. So they teach you how to use their asset. They tell you how to make different scenes, how to do primitive modeling, how to just make different blocks, create primitive shapes, draw, push, and mirror, inset, material, and bevel. They show you about UVs, grid snaps, and materials, how to make the ruins demo version, simple buildings, and how to make a loot crate, make a bottle, table and chair, basic houses, how to prototype. So they teach you how to use this to build what you need, how to make a prototype level, everything that you need to get your game going, as well as how to create a scene without having all your assets, without having all your 3D models already made. So you can figure out what route you want to go with your level and pass that on to your artist to make those 3D or 2D models that you need for your game. So this is the scene from the sensor demo, and as you can see, this is a good example of just prototyping a scene with just your primitive shapes, and you're able to do a lot with them, right? But UModeler allows you to edit these shapes to make them fit your needs. So you can use these to really make this level help you in different ways, right? You want to adjust the already meshes there to add a ramp, get around all these people. That's exactly what you can do. So the next asset we're going to look at is a cinematic sequencer, Slate. It's from Paradox Nation, and this is just a more powerful replacement for Unity's timeline. This allows you to, create cutscenes, create cinematics, be able to move your cameras in and out of scene and change their positions, have zoom-ins, have your characters' movements change and affect what animations they're doing at a particular time. It can track people, create animation curves for the different animations you can have your character doing, have a whole bunch of animatable parameters, especially with using the keyframes that they have. So if you've used, I think they say, yeah. So it's like a tool that's been inspired by Adobe After Effects and Premiere. So if you've used either of those video editors or other video editors, you're gonna have a really good understanding of this tool right from the beginning. So you can compose moving camera shots. You can take advantage of direct mech animation clips. So you can have your characters move and pose in certain ways, all without using a controller or scripting or anything like that. It's just all done within the actual asset itself. And as you can see, they have their available integrations, so it's able to work with Node Canvas, Flow Canvas, Dialogue System for Unity, Playmaker, Spine, Final IK, and a bunch of different ones. So if we can, you can animate speech and have in the different subtitles, animate the character's emotions and facial expressions, and this works for both 2D and 3D. So I'm back in the stealth demo from the sensor toolkit. We went up to Tools, the Paradox Nation, Slate, and opened up the Slate editor, and we created a new cutscene. So once you do that, the new cutscene appears in the hierarchy, and the Slate editor opens. Here you have your director. This is where you're able to control the different cameras you're using, audio tracks you're using, as well as your different action tracks. So when you come in here, you're able to animate fog and gravity, time scale, have events happen, add a scene, leave a scene, destroy or instantiate game objects, add in captions, a cinebox, overlay text and textures, have a screen fader. I mean, adding a camera is super easy. You just right click, add camera shot, create a shot. And right where your camera is at that moment is right where that camera is gonna be. And moving the camera is just all about going down to the camera, and you can move it up and down, left and right, and you can animate what this does. So you can set up the keyframes for the position, the rotation, the field of view. All you do is you click it, click add key, and it starts it off here in the beginning. Later on you move it down, add another key for whatever you desire. So then you go over here, just play it, and the camera will move and pans. I mean, it's pretty easy to use. And then adding different game objects that you want to animate or use is as simple as clicking them. You click them, you find them in the hierarchy, and you drag them down to the add actor. And here you can have them do whatever you want, whether it's animating, having your character expressions or look at something, have events happen, whether or not you want them to go somewhere, follow a path, or find a path using the nav mesh. You can animate material colors and set sprites and adjust their transform. This is a must-have if you want to make cinematics and cutscenes. So this next asset is called Odin Inspector and Serializer. Now, just to give a brief overview of this, is it allows you to customize your scripts to be able to edit them from the inspector, so you're not constantly writing tons and tons of code. So when you go into your code, all you're doing is you're adding, one line of code above what you want it to be able to edit in your inspector. So like if you want to be able to adjust the float using a slider, all it is adding in one line, range 0 through 1. And you're able to have that slider be able to go up and down from 0 to 1. So when we go back into the demo, this is kind of the getting started window that it gives you. It gives you an overview of the attributes, editor windows, serialization debugger, static inspector, create custom drawers, and attribute processors, as well as giving you a sample project, which is the RPG editor. And this is what that is. So by creating this editor, it essentially replaces a inspector window, right? So you come over here and that's it. You're able to adjust the stats of different weapons, their consumables. I mean, if you wanted to up your melee, you can drag and slide, and now you just changed how this mead affects your melee or your shooting. You go to your arrow. What do you want to set the rarity to? How many in a stack? What's the basic attack damage and speed? All of these are easy to edit right within the inspector, so you not have to reopen up these scripts to go in there and say, hey, I want to adjust the item rarity to 10. Okay, now I set it to 10. Right, and only get base armor 20. So as you can see, it's just an easy way to edit your descriptions and add some notes. What do you want to be requirements? You can see what your starting inventory is for your characters, what their starting stats are, what their equipment, are they lawful, neutral, chaotic, neutral, good. You can create items for them. You can create new characters right from here. As you start to have to constantly add new things and make new characters, revise items, this is just a great way to start streamlining your processes. Especially, I mean, this is only 4 weapons. I mean, what happened? I mean, when you start making new weapons in a game that has 40, 50 weapons and you're sitting there typing it all out, you don't have to do that. All you have to do is go up here, create an item, create a weapon, and that's it. And then you can do what you want. You can select the images, you can change the name, what kind of weapon type do you want it to be, what prefab is assigned to it. what kind of rarity do you want? 1. What's the chance of hitting critical? Well, I don't know. 100. What kind of modifiers do you want there to be? Do you want it to modify mining? Sure. Now we have mining. We can adjust how it affects mining when you have this equipped. This is just a great tool that you're going to want to have in your projects. It's going to streamline everything, and it gives you all the examples that you need to get going. The next asset that I want to cover is called DestroyIt Destruction System. Obviously, it's a destruction that allows you to implement either sophisticated or simple destruction into your game. You can have progressive damage, have physics and persistent debris that can cling to existing objects, such as you have your rebar and concrete pillars. It works with glass, able to cut down trees, have realistic destructible support physics, mass destruction and a nuclear warhead. You're able to repair objects after they've been destroyed. It also provides a first-person controller, multiple weapons, and ways to pool bullets. It just needs to be seen, right? We're in the demo. You can see they give you a cannon, an RPG, an AR, a nuke, an axe, and a wrench. And in the demo, it gives you different examples: simple use, hit effects, progressive damage, custom particles, destroyed prefabs. It's able to have a power source applied to it, so you shoot it and the light goes out. Have animations that work with it and stop after they've been damaged. Have smoke billowing with damage effects. And you're able to have progressive damage by chopping off wood. Unparenting, so you shoot the sword and it shatters. Explosions, RPGs, falling damage, so you shoot the target, it falls. You see you have the glass that clings on, and hinge motor. This is where you get your physics, because it has the hinge points. It'll slowly fall. Trees will fall and they can destroy objects that they land on. Chipped away debris. Skin mesh renderer. Cloth physics. Explosives. No rigid body collider. The terrain tree that was painted on. Fallback particles, so as you shoot you can see the small pieces of rock coming off. And it's able to not only work for high-end PCs and consoles, but also be able to be implemented in we'll reset. Be able to be implemented in mobile games. Again, like the nuke, you see it provides the actual animations and wind zones that will destroy everything for you. Boop. And again, it's optimized to do that. You can have these particles all set up to be destroyed after a certain amount of time. We're able to actually look at the destructible script. This is where you're able to assign how much damage it can take, where it's currently at. Can it be destroyed? If it's obliterated, it will just shatter into pieces and disappear? Can it be repaired? Will it sink on being destroyed? How will it reduce the velocity of the impacting bullet or cannonball? If you want visible damage, you can set up the percentage of health points, and at certain percentages it will change down to what items you want it at for progressive damage. So how this works is it takes a solid object and replaces it with a destroyed object, which are able to take the solid object and do like a self fracture inside of Blender, and you're able to import that, bring it right in, and that will be your damaged object. You're able to change your fallback particles, what kind of material. Do you want it to unparent when destroyed? Do you want chip away debris? Do you want to auto pool the object? Overall, this is a great script to have if you want to have destructible objects in your game, or if you want to incorporate a first-person controller and you're looking for a reason to buy this asset. This is a great asset to have. It comes with, so it also provides a scene where you're able to see how this can work for vehicles and different objects of that type. So you can see you can shoot out the glass, cars rolling, gas can explodes, there's an explosion, the doors fall off, you see the engine smoking, panels fall off, door falls off, wheels are gone. You're able to shoot them out yourself. And you have your actual lights to shoot them out. You see the progressive damage on the panels and on the doors. So yeah, so that's the DestroyIt asset. And again, it's easy to use. It has progressive damage. You can make it as simple or as realistic you want it to. It has great documentation and tutorials. Model Shark Studio is extremely active on the forums, and they're always willing to help you do whatever you want, even if it's not related to this asset in particular. I know I've had them help me out on several occasions that, yes, it integrated their asset, but it didn't necessarily have to deal with their asset exactly. So that about wraps it up for the top 10 paid assets that you need as a game dev. Now, I think these are great assets. Do you think there should have been something mentioned instead? Let me know down in the comments. Now, if this is the type of content that you like to see, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and check out the other videos that we have. We talk about everything in terms of making games and running an indie game development company. If you want to see what other games that we're working on at Odysee Games, be sure to check out our website and our Twitter. We post there regularly, and you're bound to see something that interests you. Alright, I'll see you next week.